Hello, and thank you all for joining us this week on the NABLL Weekly Update. This week we have Nathan Jobson, Thousand Island Spirits GM. I originally knew you as a Utica Yeti, and we're going to basically pretend like nobody has a clue what's going on, and we're going to run through the brief version of my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so you essentially Ty and Alex hooked you up to come to the Yeti tryout, and you went to the tryout. You ended up playing with the Yeti. Ended up at nationals, huge year. But just before nationals happened, you and your family kind of went through a tragedy, and that kind of sparked this whole journey to start things up. So I'm going to let you take over from there, and kind of let you get into it for a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. So my grandma actually passed away in January of 2022, and that's what led, Alex Cook and Ty Hill telling me I should try to play for Utica to get back into the game. And the only reason I started the team was because I wanted to get closer to family. I wanted to move home, and I wanted to honor my brother and all the people that we've lost. And that's the reason this whole thing started. My brother was 21 years old. He played lacrosse when he was younger. I know he watched all of our games online last year, including the upstate championship, so the upstate championship last year was on Sunday, August 26th, I believe. um, and then a week later to the day is when my brother got in his accident on September 4th, the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. And then Monday, we had to make the decision and, pull the tube, and he passed away that day. I was working in Utica at the time. I lived, I just moved into my apartment the day that he got in his accident. So, um, you know, part of me was like, man, I feel like I should go home, be closer to family. This is, nothing. No one prepares you for something like this, to lose someone so young. So I wanted to be home with my family and my mom, my dad, and that's why we kind of did all this. Um, it's starting the team thing, like that didn't. I wasn't until like a month and a half after, so I decided to like try to put it all together, and you know, I guess it worked out pretty good at the end. But the purpose, was to honor him. And then the month I moved home, we actually experienced another loss from my uncle who was diagnosed with cancer. Like the day I decided to move home, and then he passed away 6 weeks later in December to end 2022. So it was a trying year for me and my family. But
Yeah, that's a bit of an understatement, but kind of where I was going with that is, I mean, one thing that you're really a big on, and you've kind of expressed it to me several times, though, is it's more than a game. You know, the medicine
yeah,
game. You play for those who can't, and like you essentially, you talked about it, but your grandma passed away. Ty and Alex got you back into it, and it kind of got you out of a little bit of a funk. I've definitely used the game. I mean, unfortunately, I can't play much anymore, so I end up getting it through watching and being there. There's nothing like being there. Everybody gets a little bit of that medicine. But I mean, and that's kind of how you, and then being closer to home and getting to grow using the game to heal, but also you where you're from is a huge field area, but there was no box programs up there.
no, box lacrosse didn't really. Well, it exists now. It did not exist at all. The last time there was box lacrosse in our area was when the Powells were growing up, way back in the 90s. I believe there was a box lacrosse league, a summer league for local, um, kids a long time ago, uh, and they haven't had that since. So that was the last time true box lacrosse was played here. There's a facility like a YMCA kind of soccer complex, but you can't really play box in there. For one, the fields aren't right, but two, the rules don't allow it. They don't allow like full contact, so can't really play box lacrosse in that
It's a
environment.
very modified box lacrosse.
Yeah,
More like
men
sixes,
don't even play there
right?
because they don't allow checking and body checking and stuff because it's a YMCA. I mean, I get it, for
Gotcha.
family and stuff. And then, when I decided to do this, I just happened to fall upon a a suggestion from actually he's one of our players, Eric Rounds. He's a hockey player too. He suggested, he said Alex Bay is turf, and that's how we ended up there. Um, and it's right, it's perfect. It's an hour and a half north of Syracuse. It's an hour and a half south of Akwesasne. It's 30 minutes from Watertown. It's just like right in the center of a lot of really good box lacrosse and a lot of good lacrosse. Plus Watertown's not too shabby in the field lacrosse department anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not like you were building a lacrosse program where there was no lacrosse. You were just kind of bringing box lacrosse essentially. So I mean one of the coolest things and Paul for anybody listening who doesn't know Paul Necker, Utica Yeti GM, that first time we went up there and you had what 70 kids out on the floor that had now gotten a chance to see box lacrosse and get out onto a field and then got a chance to watch that exhibition game and listening to those kids like wow this is cool. It was
Yeah.
definitely it was an awesome experience for everybody who got. It's a little warm in there, but other than that, it was an amazing experience. Especially, I don't know, watching those kids and to see them not just messing around, but actually watching the game and thinking it was cool and talking about like this guy's my coach and this guy plays here, and it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, the environment that we've created between the town, the town's been very welcoming um, and excited. There's a lot of local, people in Alex Bay from there that have been super supportive. Um, I can't speak enough about the fans that we've had and the experience. We try to make it an experience where people come and they want to come back, right? Whether even if you may or may not be a lacrosse fan, you can go to one of our games and there's no way you don't want to come back and see it again. And I think we did a good job doing that. And our venue, hopefully, we can find a way to create a little more space in there. I know there's talks of knocking out some walls and stuff, so hopefully that can happen. Because I don't want to play somewhere else. I actually really like Alex Bay and the town. I
I,
would hate to have to leave there just because of the facility.
I mean, the
Um,
facility's definitely not that bad. Other than
yeah,
the like I said, the heat. I mean, really for it was really like the perfect size for what you had because
yeah,
when everybody's there, it's packed. I mean, you really do have it's like it reminds me of when I was a kid going to an AHL hockey game back when the Red Wings were good because we had all the guys that were going from Adirondack up to Detroit and like the fans were really into it and you knew everybody because everybody played hockey with those guys' kids. So like
yeah.
everybody knew everybody. It's definitely a cool environment. You guys traveled well, but I mean, you definitely have a home field advantage as far as, sound effects, and you kind of bring the sound effects with you. You've got the giant cowbell out there.
Yes, yes. The cowbell was something that developed, pretty early. One of our friends brought like a cowbell that was a decent size anyway, and then for I don't know what possessed him to ask someone, but that they made one a little bit bigger. That they brought to the first Utica game at Utica. I think at the end of the season was the first time we utilized that one, and like you say, wow, 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 right? That thing is huge.
Yeah,
Um,
it is. It is huge. It is loud. You hear it
yeah,
everywhere. I tell you, one of the coolest parts about nationals for me really was like having your all your fans there, but the whole glass would shake when they would bang on the boards and everything, and you could hear it, and it gave you like when something cool happened, it really you could feel the energy in the arena. It kind of added to it.
yeah, I know that. Nationals, as we'll get to that. I know it was a memorable experience, and you know, people will remember the spirits in 2023, and that is kind of humbling and really cool for why this got started and what's going on now. It's awesome. And nationals is very cool. The environment. I mean, facility was a facility, but the environment was good. We traveled very well. We had a full 30 guys travel to play. And, like one of the games I wasn't dressing, I walked over to our locker room, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, what are you doing? Aren't you guys playing right now?" And I was like, yeah, but we have to sit 7 guys every game or 8 guys every game, so I'm not playing this one." They're like, "You brought that many people?" I was like, "Yeah, man. I mean, my guys are committed. We're here to win a national championship. We're not here to just hang out." And I think they respected that, and they're like envious of it, right? So, I mean, we had at the end of the season, we ended up having 36 eligible players to be able to go to nationals. Plus, we were able to pick up 3. So we picked up 3, and 9 couldn't go. We lost 2 to President's Cup. We lost 1 to an injury. 2 of the top 5 scorers in the country couldn't go with us because of an injury in President's Cup, which that hurt, obviously. Um, because we weren't the same team on offense out there. But we still had 30 guys, man. Our guys buy into what we're doing. Our community has been very supportive of what we're doing. And I think that the game has served some really good medicine to a lot of people. I've had a lot of people reach out to me personally, message me, text me on Instagram, Facebook, on all of every way they could get a hold of me, telling me, thank you for what you're doing. And, that it's super humbling and rewarding that we've done what we've done. And I'm super excited about the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely are building something great. Like you said, you touched on it there with the medicine. But now, I always get sidetracked, but we'll take it back. So you decide to, yeah, this could conversation will definitely be all over the place. But so you decide you're gonna like start the team, you get into it, you figure you're gonna pick Alex Bay. Alex Bay's the spot. I gotta ask you, as a first year GM, what was the, I guess I'm going to say the biggest obstacle that you ran into that you weren't expecting? And what was something that essentially you think, that the NABLL, as far as like the board supplied you guys with, that was a surprise? Was there anything that they had like for you guys as far as like the coaches' meetings or anything like that?
Um, so the NABLL is great. They supply you with like a kind of like a checklist of things you need. It's a several page packet with like a checklist of, hey, you're going to need all this stuff. And, so they give you all the resources to make it pretty easy. Um, Before I even got to that stage, I mean, I guess when I decided to form the team, I kind of just came up with some big business plan anyway of like all the things I thought I would need. And I think I got most of it. I guess the biggest thing you don't think about is like, um, like simple things. I would forget like ice sometimes. Like, if we were going to practice, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have ice. They don't have an ice machine here. I got to buy ice and a cooler and bring it. Like,
Is that why you
what are you
had the
talking
water sponsorship halfway through the year?
Yeah, no, yeah, we had a water spot. So one of the guys on our team, his father owns Blue Mountain Spring Water, and they provided water for us for everything, for every practice, every game, every away game. They provided water for our concession stand. I mean, it was great. Like, there's so many good partnerships I can talk to you about that really helped us. Um, and because they all want to see us succeed, and that's the great part about the North Country and living where I live, and being where I'm from, is we all want the best for each other at the end of the day. So like everyone's been very supportive, trying to do anything they can do to help. Our biggest help with that would be like Dave Roberts, who you've talked to, communicated with. He sponsored nationals. He owns Skiffs in 1864, and
I was just looking for the commercial, but I'm on my desktop instead of my laptop. I just figured it out because I was like, oh man, I'll have that commercial. I'll play it right now. I was going to say, here's a prime example of your things, but I've actually got my desktop
that,
set up instead of my laptop. Shit.
that's okay. We've seen that commercial a lot.
Yeah, no,
there.
that was so cool is that you guys actually had so I mean that's we'll kind of get into the partnerships and all that, but you had such a dedicated fan base that you had a one of your sponsors who sponsors your season reach out to Rich. And I didn't understand. I thought it was something different. And then all of a sudden Rich was like, "No, these guys are sponsoring the Nationals." It was in a
Yeah,
different file share folder. I thought it was the one because I tried to clip some of your sponsors in for some of the games. So I thought it was that. And then Rich was like, "No, no, 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 these guys are legit sponsoring the Nationals." And so that was such a cool thing. You do have a great community. I mean, like you said, the ice and the little things, but I mean, how easy was it to form the partnerships? Because you had a ton of partnerships compared to a lot of like what you see a lot of these teams go. Like when I ask other people, I'm like, "You got any sponsors?" I'll get one or two. With you, I have like 12 pictures. I've got to try to sneak into the same amount of screen that I fit like four sponsors for everybody else.
yeah. So I mean, I guess the big thing when I decided to do this and start everything was I had a very simple plan, right? Like I knew eventually the players and coaches, like that stuff you don't have to worry about if you do everything else because they'll come. So my primary when I started it was I wanted to create a name, so I went through a nice process with that. I announced it on the radio, live. Um, I had a countdown on Facebook, like trying to build some hype around what I'm doing. And I came up with sponsorship sheets and stuff before I even had a name for my team. So I was like out trying, calling places, stopping by places, trying to just let them know, hey, this is what we're doing. This is super exciting. It's going to be great for the area. You're going to want to be involved. This is year one. You can be right at the base of it, and I'm telling you, people are gonna recognize our logo. They're gonna see us, and they'll associate some of my sponsors with you for sure. Like, I will help turn this into something, somehow, some way. Because I have family and friends and a lot of support up here.
Well, I mean, you had so much support from the community, like you said. I mean, you could tell that you did a ton of that hands-on groundwork, though. Just boots on the
Yeah,
ground, getting to places, doing all the sponsorship, and I mean, like you said, and I think that kind of is huge, and most people don't appreciate that. You might not get the reception that you got the first year with the players, but if you build that kind of program that the players know everything else is taken care of, it allows you to get, like you had as far as coaching lineup, your coaches are up here. It's
yeah.
that top level of coaching really. I mean, there's NLL teams that could use your coaches and nobody would question that.
No, I actually agree. The caliber of the two men that join this ride with me are definitely upper echelon stuff. I mean, Travis is Alex's father. So when I was talking to Alex about it, we're like, hey, you think your dad would coach? Like, and I guess he mentioned thinking about it last year. So I was like, well, this could be a really cool opportunity. Maybe he'll do it. And then, I got a message from Mikey, kind of saying, "Hey, if you need a coach, here's my resume." Like, and I'm like, "Dude, I know who you are, man. Like, I, I've heard your name once or twice in the box lacrosse community." Um, and I had a conversation with him, and the same day he was like, "Yeah, man." So that was a pretty cool. And I told him Travis might be our other coach. So, and he was excited about that because Travis played with his father, so a lot of connections. And it's just I'm just lucky, man. I mean, Travis is in 8 lacrosse Hall of Fame, well, 8 Hall of Fames. I think all lacrosse related. Um, I believe he's also. I didn't even write in there. I think he's a member on the CLA board. I'm pretty sure. I have to double check that, but which that's kind of a big deal.
I think
You
I
know,
remember when we talked to when we did the podcast, I think on your channel before it was the NABLL
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
when I think I remember that from there because yeah, Travis is one of those guys that like and when you look at Travis, I didn't realize he was quite as old as he is to have all the experience. Because as you're reading through like
Yeah,
his resume and stuff, you're like, oh, all right, you're a little bit. Wow, how did you have time to fit all that in? You're like, okay,
yeah,
you've been around a little bit longer than I. And then I mean, and so you've got Travis with all that, and his son Alex. Obviously, anybody who knows me and you knows who Alex Cook is, and
yeah.
they've
And I
seen
think the
the
league knows now.
what's that?
I think the league knows who Alex Cook is now.
Absolutely, and
Um,
and then you've
if they
got
didn't.
the I mean, but the NLL experience of Coach Benedict though, and he has so he also coaches in what is the other league? He's a full-time coach. I don't want to screw up the organizations.
I believe he coaches like youth. He coaches like a youth team as
Yeah,
well.
is it the Bucks?
Bosnia. No, I believe it's the Thunder.
Oh, yes, there you go. No, I've seen it. It is it's Akwesasne Thunder. After you said it, I just didn't want to screw it up because I couldn't remember which one, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah, no, you guys definitely put the league on notice. So a lot of teams at nationals, the Austin Scorpions might have been an inaugural team too, but I think they've been around for a little bit down south in some other leagues. I think they were just new to the NABLL. But
Mhm.
you and Paper City were both inaugural teams as far as you didn't have teams last year. You
Uh,
guys met at the beginning of the season, and wow, did you guys have some great games? I mean, so you played what, twice at the beginning of the year and split the games?
yeah. Yep. So we were both deciding whether we wanted to participate in that preseason event in Utica, and um, I guess I don't know why, but it just worked out. And I was like, hey, you want to do like a home and home? Oh, well, I didn't do it because I wanted another home game, and I think he wanted another one too. So I was like, look, if this works for both of us, I'll come to you, you come to me. It's a travel, but I promise you that it'll be worth it. And, if anything, you're going to get a great, we'll get some good experience. And, I knew they would be decent, for sure. And, I wasn't surprised when they won that division at all. I told them when we played them the first game, I said, if you bring your whole roster, you guys can absolutely win your division. If you get all your players there. 'Cause they have some pretty good players too, also from up north.
Super talented team, and that's what I knew when they beat you guys. I didn't get to see that game, but I knew what caliber your team was. So when they beat you guys, I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." And I
Yep.
hadn't seen them play other than that. So, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
was the first game of the season. They beat us 19-18 in overtime. We started down 4-0. We were down four with like 5 minutes left, and tied it up, and then went into overtime. And that was our very first game. So like, I didn't obviously have the same roster that I had at the end of the season or in the middle. Um, but yeah, I mean, Paper City is good, man. They have good coaches, and they all buy in. And I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is finding players that buy into what you're doing and want to be a part of it. And it's hard now because there's so many leagues where they start out and guys are half in, half out, and you can't do that. You need guys that are all in, and my guys were all in.
oh yeah,
So they're committed
commitment
to
is
it.
definitely not an issue with your team. You had lots of guys travel. You traveled well. Everything was good. I have to ask you though. So is Mike? Is that Wissa?
Yeah, Wissa. Yep.
Okay, but that's his nickname. Okay, because I just seen that and that threw me off for a second. I was like, "Is
Yeah.
that okay?" It's the same guy, but yeah, no, I was just
That's,
scrolling through
that's
this.
Coach's son. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and boy, did you guys had some hot, goaltenders down there. You definitely had some big save. You guys had a lot of big goals, but I mean, as you were going through your season, you got through the beginning, and then after that loss to Paper City, and then you guys split with Oswego at the beginning too, or
Yeah, we lost to Oswego by one as well. Mike wasn't there to coach that game. I actually coached. I am not a coach. So at the end of the game, we were down one. They had it at the other end, or we had the ball, or yeah, we had the ball, or we're trying to get the ball. We got it, crossed mid court. As soon as we crossed midfield, I called a timeout, but they threw one pass and we scored, but it didn't count because I called timeout, and I still will not forget that. Ty Ty had a nice goal from like up top, and had to take it away, and we ended up losing. Where that could have tied it up and taken us into overtime.
So that was when you knew you were like, you know what, I'm not the coach.
Yeah, yeah. I've never wanted to coach ever. I don't. Not my team. Like not this. Like I'll coach. Youth
Youth, yeah, no. Youth
and I'll
is
teach other. I'll coach. Like I'd coach college fields lacrosse, no problem. But I'm not going to coach box lacrosse right now, especially when I got those two guys. You know what I mean? I don't. They don't need me. I don't. I know
no.
nothing compared to them.
No, actually, I think one of the biggest things, I think probably the best opportunity as far as this league is concerned, is I think it provides a lot of guys to get the experience. Like you said, they're getting to play with legends. I mean, you got to play with Neil Paulus last year, getting to play with Alex and Ty. I mean, and really, you're taking that core group of guys. And they spread the game to other people. So with each team adding a couple of new guys a year, that really exponentially grows the awareness of the game.
Yeah, and that's the idea. So like a lot of guys looked at my roster at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, and they're like, they have so many guys that play box lacrosse. I mean, yeah, we do, but we also had. I'm pretty sure there's 15 local players, like 15 or 18 guys that are local that have never played box lacrosse. That's half the team, man. So like, and they've all learned. And then, one big event that happened like a couple weeks before the cutoff is I had these college kids approach me that wanted to play, and that's Carter Kempney from Syracuse. Joe Petrus played at Genesee Community College, and then Rowan Marcel plays at Delaware. Like these are very athletic, good lacrosse players. They wanted to try it out, and I bet you if they were on the line, they'd tell you they had more fun playing this than they've probably had playing lacrosse their whole life. And that's a really cool thing. Plus, their skills will develop and they'll get better and more aggressive even in school. Like, and then they'll spread the game. They'll tell their friends, "Hey, you need to play box this summer if you're near a place that has it." And that's how you build American. The American side of box lacrosse, which definitely needs to be built. We have the talent. Um, it's just learning the game.
Yeah, no, we
So,
definitely have the athletes, and that's one thing. Like, the Westminster guys, a lot of those guys say, they're a lot of field players, and that is one thing is really stick skills can make up for a lot of athleticism, and having that years and years of stick skills, there's definitely a difference between, a guy who grew up playing one-handed, playing a field style where he throws that backhanded pass, with laser pinpoint accuracy. You don't know which way it's coming, because they were actually talking about that last week. Is they were like, how did Nicky Snow take that shot running across, like to throw it behind the back shot? And I was like, for him, he's just as confident as that as he is, throwing it forehand. Like he's taken that shot a
yeah,
million times. That wasn't the first time he had taken that shot.
no, not at all. And if you think about the angle, it's smart. Like you're moving one way with your stick and your forehand, so the goalie's sliding that way. So rather than like in field where you might stop, turn around, and then run the other way and shoot with your left, you can shoot on the run, and the goalie's sliding one way, and you're shooting it where he came from. So that was a brilliant shot. It was well placed. It wasn't going 1,000 miles per hour. That's the thing about box too. You improve your accuracy. You
Accuracy. Well, you see how much more important it is to have an accurate shot versus that. Because I mean,
know,
like you kind of told me there at one of the first times we had talked. You're like, I can get away with things in box with my stick skill and knowing how to use energy management. Essentially, you choose
yeah,
your burst of speeds, and kind of, and everybody talks about it. Nobody's going to outrun a ball. I don't care how fast you think you can run, and eventually age catch ups with all of us. So you got to
certainly does.
the stick skills are so much more important than everything else. I mean, how did you find your first year guys? How did they adjust to that wealth of knowledge? Was it like the first couple practices was like, and then it kind of settled down, or?
I gotta tell you, the progression we made from just playing pickup, to our tryout, to our first practice, to the end of the year, is leaps and bounds. Because like a lot of it and this is any sport or any level of lacrosse. Like first, you have to learn the drills you're doing, right? And if you're thinking too hard trying to learn the drill, then you miss out on capitalizing from learning from the drill. So like there's that first initial learning curve of, well, I got to make sure I throw it to the right guy and then I go to the right spot. And all that helps with your movement in the end. Um, and we run a lot of drills, man. We shoot a ton in practice. Play a lot of we do a lot of subbing drills, like running way more than I want to run. But it's what you got to do, man. You got to put in the work. But just the progression of even learning how to sub, man. Just learning how to sub properly. How to and they're still learning. Like, so, like you just got to go. And there's at the end of the year they weren't hesitating anymore. At the beginning, it's like, do I go? Do I not go? What do I
Well,
do?
just
And you
learning
learn.
that box too, though, because you've got the little box area and how that works and kind of figuring things out. But like you said, that's something I wouldn't even think about. So like your star movement pattern at the beginning of a practice, like yeah, you don't think about it, but yeah, the guy has to process that, and it takes you back to like when you're a little kid, as you show up to a
Right.
thing and you're at a tryout and you're trying to make the team, but you got to also try to figure out what the heck is going on. You're like, I don't want to be the
Mhm.
first guy in line. Yeah, it's
Yeah, you want to follow some. Like the key is get behind someone that you know how to do it, and then you just follow them. That's what I used to do when I first started doing this. I was like, I don't know, like I'm not used to these drills, so that guy knows what he's doing. I'm gonna follow him. I'll just do everything he does. So you just watch and pay attention, and that's what you do. But you do that at the youth level too. Like I coach youth lacrosse, right? And it's if and this happens a lot. Like coaches just overcomplicate drills for younger guys, so they're too focused on how to do the drill as opposed to just doing it. Where when at this level, you need those type of high caliber, high quality, high IQ drills because it helps your IQ for the game as well. It's not just a little drill passing and catching the ball.
Right, like you said, and that's where the coaching level, because you don't want to complicate things, but you also need to make it so that the drills are actually functional, you know. So as you're teaching them it, there's a purpose to it, and as you build the IQ, nothing replaces hands-on experience. I mean, we all know that. I mean, you never could have learned what you learned this year as a GM without actually going through it as a GM.
Yeah, and I tell you, like I know you asked me earlier, like what are the things you did and didn't expect. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I didn't think about before, like I thought about, but I didn't put like too much. I was just like, we'll figure it out when we get there, kind of thing. Just even just tickets for the game. Like, what do you do? Like, I had this whole idea what I was gonna do, and then I changed it all and did things a lot different. Like, so we didn't just charge admission. We charged admission, but um, like you got a chance to win something every game. So we did 12 and under was free, but we still issued them a ticket, like a different color ticket. And then older than 12, 13 and up, we charged, I can't remember, $10, I think. But then you also got an opportunity to win something. Both of them did. The 12-year-olds had the opportunity to compete at halftime. And then anybody that just came in got a chance to win something just in a draw, like a stick, gloves. We gave out a couple sticks, like it was cool. Like we just coming up with those ideas was on the fly. I had a lot of help from my cousin. Like he helped me tremendously. And that's Bearded Brothers, one of my sponsors. Um, just managing the game, so I didn't have to. So I was able to play. Quite honestly, they wanted me to be able to play, so they helped, and I was able to play, which was nice because I wasn't too concerned about playing, but I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to play, but I getting going up there and seeing how well everything flowed when we got there for that first thing. I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of you know, semi-pro lacrosse, minor league, you know,
Yeah,
club lacrosse, and you had a very fluid operation off the start. You worked your kinks out early, but yeah, no, you had a very huge props to everybody. You definitely had a ton of volunteers up
yeah,
there because yeah,
so
you
much.
guys put out a great show. No, I don't think anybody could ever argue. I think essentially if you're trying to build a minor league lacrosse team or any club system, essentially what you've done up there is a great blueprint for your first year. I don't think you could really ask for a better outcome other than beating the Wild in the championship.
Yes, it's true. But no, you're right. I mean, it was. and looking back now, because like I've tried reflecting, but now talking to you more, it's a little better. But um, yeah, I mean, I suggest like if anybody is starting a new team, like just have a couple, try to do some preseason type events. That helped me a ton. Doing that one scrimmage, which I'll do it again next year. Um, doing then we did an inter squad scrimmage too. Like we did two preseason events before the season started, just to try to work out, like you said, the kinks and make sure we had enough of this and enough of that because we were able to run our own concessions too. We didn't have like a third party vendor to do that. Like they let us do it. Um, and I'm sure that like a lot of these teams might have venues that have concessions, which God bless you because that's easier. We had to do it all ourselves, but I don't. I think it was worth it. Like it's good to have something there.
You definitely want something there, but essentially it's kind of one of those things you got to choose. Like, do I have enough volunteers to
Yeah,
help get this work? Like, is it worth doing it? Or are we just going to piss everybody off because we've got one person trying to wait on everybody and they can't do anything besides make everybody frustrated?
yeah. Unfortunately, we had so many people step up. My aunts, cousins, friends, like people associated with the team, like girlfriends, wives, stuff like that. Like a lot of people, parents, like so many people to thank. Like if I had a list, I'd be here for a little while. And that it takes a village, man, and luckily we kind of have that here, and that's really how we were able to have success. And for me, I didn't have to worry. Like I controlled nothing at home games. Like I know everyone came to me for stuff, but like my cousin and all those volunteers ran it. I just had to finalize things and do little things here and there, but I was able to focus on the task at hand, and that's to win the games, which we did all that at home.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. You won the home games, and you guys you played great as far as that goes. I mean, how cool is it? So I had it on your website earlier. Now, of course, I'm talking about it, but I mean, there's so much like being able to the spirits and playing for those who can't, like, and having that little spot on the plexiglass wall where everybody gets to that's just such a cool. You can't I don't know.
It's on the
You
homepage.
yeah.
But yeah, I came up with that. Like, so honestly, I don't remember where I was or what I was doing, but an idea popped in my head, and I was like, there's glass, and there's this one section I don't really want people standing. That's next to our bench, and I was like, but if some people stood there, what if we did this and put a picture of someone you lose, and fans. I had some fans bring some pictures. A lot of the pictures are from guys on the team. Um, they of just people that we've lost, and we actually lost more people since. Like my aunt lost her best friend the night before our inter squad scrimmage. Um, my brother lost his mother-in-law in June. Coach Benedict actually lost a very good friend the day he got back from nationals. Like loss comes, and lacrosse is a true medicine game. I got a message today um, from one of my players' father, and you know, kind of just saying like, you don't understand it until you feel it. Like once you're in that environment and you feel the medicine, then you really understand what the game's about. And that's kind of the deeper part of why we here are here is to honor the people we lost, but to honor the medicine game and why we play lacrosse. And no better way to do that. We have a lot of connections in the native community, and it's life, it's their religion, it's everything. And I relate to that because it is for me too. Like the game gives back so much, but you got to give it. You got to give what you can to the game too.
Yeah, it's like anything. You can't just have a one-way relationship because essentially it never works. You know, you always end up burning out. And I feel the more you give to this game, if you want to call it a game, the more you get out of it. It's that simple. So yeah, there you got in the chats Utica Yeti. He'll see you at Lax Night. He's excited. But you get to build these relationships where you see everybody at these tournaments and stuff. So what was Nationals like as a player versus Nationals like as a GM? Because I mean, it was a super emotional Nationals the first year. Your brother had just passed a short time before it,
Yeah.
and you went to it. So I mean, obviously that was a different experience. Like you had the writing on your helmet and everything, and getting to see your parents down there. It was and with Paul being such an emotional guy too, that was a cool experience for me to see. Like just how awesome your family was being so open and just yeah, it was uh
Yeah, the first nationals with Utica, um, yeah, that had, a level of emotion that it's hard to fathom now thinking about it. Like I was looking at old pictures just from a year ago, and it's like I can't believe that I went and played, 2 weeks after what happened, you know. Um, but I know that that's what he would have wanted. I know that's what my grandma would have wanted. I know that's what I needed. And nationals was a great experience last year. I was pretty bummed that um, you know we had a chance if we would have beaten Maine to make it to the Final Four, and we didn't. We lost. We didn't have all of our guys. We had some injuries, so it was tough. Um, but it was great. I really enjoyed playing with Utica, and it is definitely easier as a player. I can tell you that just all around. As a player, it's nice. You show up, you play, you leave, done. Uh, as a GM, and Paul will tell you, because I used to watch Paul like do all this stuff, man. Like, there's a lot. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot of little things that you got to do, like bringing the waters and making sure that everyone has what they need, and make sure you have the right numbers, and you know, because the Nationals, like on Saturday, we wore special jerseys, right? So I had to change everyone's numbers to accommodate for the proper jerseys, and that's why I did it on Saturday, because I knew we'd only have one game. So I was like, I'll do it Saturday so I can prep it all tonight and then fix it by Sunday. Um, like little things that you just don't think you have to do, and you got to mark who's eligible, who's not, who's playing, who's not. Like, so it's a lot. So nationals this year was, I can tell you from both perspectives. As a player, again, it was easier because I was out there playing. But you saw me when I wasn't playing, and I was playing GM, pacing back and forth the whole game. I think I ran up and down the floor more
yeah,
as a GM
you
than I
wore a
did as
line
a
down
player.
behind where Charity was standing with the camera. There's a
Yeah,
uh, a little patch. I think I called it the Jobson patch. I'm pretty sure
yeah.
you took an eighth of an inch of concrete down in that section.
There could be. It was very difficult to just sit there and watch. Because you're full of emotion and you're watching the game, and the games were all intense and
And
much
how about
closer than
how
we're
about your
used to.
mom surprising you coming down there? How cool was that?
That was pretty awesome. That was on Saturday. I had no idea she was coming. Like, we talked about her being able to come and stuff, and it was like, you know, I get it if you can't. It's a long trip, and then right after Coach Benedict said you're sitting, someone come over to me and they're like, "You see who's here?" And then I look, and then my mom's there. So I was like, "That's great," because A, she didn't get to see me play right then, and B, I just cried anyway, so I wouldn't have been able to help much anyway. But it was pretty cool. It was awesome.
So as a player, and then I'm going to ask you as a GM, but keep this in mind first. So as a player, how did you feel about the new game schedule, the way the Nationals broke down?
I loved the format as far as how they did it, because like I actually said I talked to someone last year and they said they were going to do that format, and I was like, that's definitely should be the format. Now obviously, like the the two 12-minute halves is rough, but like the thing play teams have to understand when you're playing is that um it's it wasn't that bad as a player at all. It was I basically played a game that night. You know what I mean? It was 4 12-minute super fast periods. So like it was like we had played one game. So it couldn't have tired you out that much. But you just got to get a jump early if you want to win those games. But again, the result of those games, it matters, but it doesn't. Because if you came in the top six, you didn't have to play an extra game.
Yeah.
You know, if you came in the bottom four, then you had to play an extra game. So the goal is to just be in the top six, which honestly, just win one of your pool play games and you should be in the top six. You
Yeah,
know,
the way it ended up working out essentially was like that. And I like how they do it because the pool play games,
I loved it.
you want to have some meaning behind them because you're not just wasting your time and you want to
Yeah,
sort the teams. But then, like you said, you can't have too much consequence on it because if you don't get an early start, man, a 12-minute half is gone. Like I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, it was just like every game, it was like, oh my goodness, the game's
yeah.
over.
The only thing as a player, like I guess the thing as a player is you work all season, and this is, I guess, later into the playoffs part of it. You work all season and you play a format that's in the book. Like there's rules in the book as to what your format should be, right? 4 15-minute stop time periods. So the advantage to having a deep team is that you can go 4 15-minute stop time periods, right? So that's what you want to play. You don't want to play 4 15 runnings or 4 12 runnings or 4 10 runnings, like because you're shortening the game dramatically, not only by the time, 20 minutes in that. So think about that. On Saturday, the games were 40 minutes long, where a regular game's 20. So you're cutting the game down 20 minutes, not to mention it's running time. So then you're cutting the game down even further. So, because those little stoppage of plays, those little stops of times, like you're getting a second to rest. So when you build a team and you travel well, the advantage should be what you did for the whole season and not just in a day or in a game or in a tournament. So that's where it was frustrating as a GM and as a player, is that it's the only way to do full stop time games is if you did it for like a week, like they do President's Cup, and I get this type of league, we're not ready for that yet. So I understand. I get it. Doesn't bother me,
But I get what you're saying though. It is tough because you kind of got. I say that all the time though. You kind of need two teams too because with that, with the stop time, and if you play one game a week or two games a week, is a lot different than playing you go and you run your 4 or 5 games, back to back to back. That is a very tough
We're all
tournament.
used to that, though.
Yeah,
Honestly, all of us are used to that. Like a lot of guys play field, and that's what you do. Like Lake Placid, like a couple weeks prior to national, I played, 8 9 games in 2 days. You know what I mean? Like you get used to that. That part isn't you're conditioned enough, and everyone's doing it, right? So it's not like one team is playing 7 games and the other one's playing two.
right.
So like you're equal when it comes to how many games there are, and it's just comes down to conditioning and your team. I just know like stop time, normal floor, I like it better than I liked that.
Yeah, I mean, and
Just my honest opinion, but like
no, I get it. And your
for what
team
we're
is
doing, it's perfect. It couldn't, like, that's the thing. I'm not unhappy about it. I think it's great. Like
yeah, no, and your
the
team is
fun
definitely
aspect is
built
awesome.
for a slugfest, back and forth style game. That's the thing with having a deep team is if you have a team where only one or two guys score, it's a lot easier to have a team where one or two guys score if it's a super fast game.
Yeah,
Whereas and honestly, I like from the coaching aspect the kind of tit for tat, and that's where you kind of like if I would have loved to have seen how Mike handled this that game if it was a little bit longer because the way like talking to Brian Custer, the
you
goalie
don't have
there,
time to adjust.
right, for the Wild, and like he was talking about like the way they moved it and everything, and it's just yeah, the coaching from that perspective, and that's where I think the longer games would really kind of benefit somebody like, where you've got the legendary coaching staff and you get more time in the timeouts and tit for tat, running things like that. But yeah, I mean, like you said, unless we have a week long thing, it is pretty much impossible to do that.
Yeah, and that's just the way it's going to be, and that's okay. We knew that going in, like um, and Westminster did an awesome job. They're good. They they were shooting and they're scoring, and that's what you're supposed to do, and we didn't do that. You
Yeah.
know, it was 7-1 at halftime. Like
Well,
that's not good.
no.
You can't do that and expect to win. Like, can we score 6 goals really fast? Absolutely. My team was one of the best scoring teams in the league, um, but we didn't. So we
Well, I mean that, and you just put
didn't.
yourself in a tough position as far as that goes.
Yeah, tough.
But I mean
And
that
if the
being
ball
said,
stops, it slows down a little bit.
how about second place in the Nationals for an inaugural team, and not just an inaugural NABLL team though, but a first year team to be able to beat some of these teams that have been around for years. You and Paper City, that is such a huge, I think, an understated thing because most of these programs, like 5 years of a program is, when you'll start to see the benefits of your program or what kind of program you've built. Did you build a good community that's getting stronger, or did you build something that is falling apart at this point because it's 5 years? But to be able to start at that point, that must have been such a cool, like, as you were going through the games and it's like, oh my God, we really are playing this like high of a level. We really are doing this level. I mean, at what point in the season, or was it even before the season started in those first preseason games, that you felt like you had a team that was gonna make it to nationals?
I believe I told you on May 23rd, the first time we did this, or May night, whatever that night was. I said we're going to go to nationals. That's the plan. Um, I was always, I guess, I was always confident that my team was going to be good enough to do that. And that's no disrespect to any teams. I just knew what I had, and I knew what we could do. So, like, I guess I'll describe it this way as far as nationals, because everybody's like, man, finished number 2 in the country. It's got to feel pretty good. And it's like, I am unbelievably happy and so proud of my team, of my community, my everything that we've done. I am super proud, but I'm not satisfied. But what kind of competitor would you be if you were, right? If you're
Well,
satisfied finishing second, then next year you'll be satisfied finishing third or fourth or fifth.
well,
But I'm proud and I'm happy. So
it's also
simple.
like when you start the season, if you don't feel your team can make it to nationals, then you either don't have a competitive team or you're just not confident in your team that you've got. So, I mean, I honestly feel like most teams at the beginning of the year, because honestly, anybody in that top 10 for the most part with a hot goalie is gonna could dominate that tournament. If you can score 4 or 5 goals and you can get a goalie that can really, shut people down, and I guess you should be closer to double digits. But with the speed of those games with a hot goalie, if you can get a couple players that get a hat trick or a sock trick for you, is where that team kind of you
Yeah, it's anybody's game there
yeah.
in that format, and that's the good part for it for the league is that you can work hard to get to nationals, you can get there, and you legitimately have a chance. And I think that format that they just did, um, single elimination, and that's kind of what like I was because the year before you had some teams like not show up, and you remember like, and
Sunday was a little,
it
yeah,
was
it was.
miserable, quite frankly, like, and that was sad, and I can't remember what teams did it, but like, if it was me and I ran it, and if they happen to make it this year, I wouldn't even let them come out because of that. But I'm not the guy running the league. But like, but this year with this format, it encourages people to stick it out because pool play matters. And then once you're done, you're done. You can enjoy your weekend. If you know what I mean. Like if we would have lost the game Saturday, as mad as we would have been, we would have just had. I guess we could have just enjoyed Saturday night. We could have went downtown and enjoyed the vacation part of it. You
Well,
know,
it is actually a pretty nice setup because, like you said, you either you play, you good, and then okay, now guys, we're in for the the top. We all know why we're here. Let's go to bed, get our stuff done early, or hey, we're going out partying. I
Yeah,
mean,
6 teams get to hang out, and the other 4 gotta go to bed, and that's what happened.
yeah,
And that's good. That's good for the league. It's good for the game, and it made the game super competitive, and intense. Except for the championship game, they smacked us.
yeah, definitely.
They
Uh,
did.
yeah, we've got a question. Do you think there will ever be a California team? I'm guessing this is Jacob Craig. Are you talking in the NABLL? I'm guessing because how far of a drive is it from Seattle? You think?
I think the problem with California is I think the box lacrosse that is played there is in Southern California. So fortunately for me, I was able to live out there for a little while, and box lacrosse was in the LA area. Um, I don't know if they're playing up in Northern California, and that's probably the only legitimate shot that they would have to be in that Pacific Northwest division, right? So
Yeah, they'd
I don't
probably
know.
have to start their own
They'd
division.
have to have they'd have to have their own division and 3 teams, which I do think there's enough lacrosse in Southern California to do so. I know a lot of people out there. Um, I know that there's some people out there that play, and there's definitely teams out there. So that's completely opposite of where we are, but
Yeah, yeah, it's
love the
definitely
fun.
is. The all right, so what is up? We've already been doing this for almost an hour. I knew we were definitely not going
We
to.
started late.
Yeah, no. I'm just looking at the recording time. I know we're 56 minutes into the actual since we've been streaming,
That's
but
funny.
the
Huh,
uh,
don't
what's
mind
up?
me.
No, what's up for the spirits for the summertime? So this is your first essentially off season now. After a completed season, what do you have planned for the spirits throughout the summer? Do you plan on running a
So
bunch of tournaments?
our summer of winter. So um, the turf is down at our facility until like mid-October. So we're gonna start playing pickup actually tomorrow night. For a couple weeks, we're just gonna play pickup, and then next weekend, of course, we're participating in Lax Night. Um, and we can talk about that quick, but uh, I've been invited to play in Las Vegas. I don't know if we'll be able to put a team in. That's in January. Maybe if we got some nice sponsors, we'd be able to do that. But I personally I might play in Nashville for a team, me and a couple guys, but I'm not putting the spirits in. However, we are wearing our jerseys, I think, there, so we will be represented. Uh, um, and we'll probably, I know Aquasasni has pickup up there, so if my guys want to play, they're either gonna have to drive to Syracuse with me, um, or drive up to Aquasasni with me, or drive all the way to Utica. So there's not a lot of there's no box here. It's the problem.
Yeah,
There's ice everywhere.
which is a problem because, like you said, it's tough, but you get the dedicated people, which is why I
Yeah.
think you've got such a dedicated team.
What's
But how?
nice though, my turf will be back in. Last season it was in March. We had our first night of pickup March 15th.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a pretty
So
early hockey season.
yeah, well, because no one, we won't get into that. But either way, so March we could have turf, hopefully
Which
again.
is crazy because the last time I was up there, I spent a lot of time up in A Bay when I was a kid, but we played at Bonnie Castle. I stayed in Clayton and we
Yeah,
played at Bonnie Castle. When I got up there, I asked I don't remember if it was your cousin or one of your helper, your volunteers. You've got so many, it's hard to keep track of them. But I was like, "Hey, is Bonnie Castle still open?" And he looks at me
no,
and he goes, "It's been a long time since you've been up here, isn't it?" And I was
it
like,
has.
"Yeah,
Yeah, like that building's like caved in, man. Like they had two. I think they had 2 rinks in there and everything.
yeah." They had the rinks
Yeah,
and you had the hockey shop. You had a full bar. That place was so cool.
but we're really looking forward to Laxnai.
How cool is that? I'm sorry to cut you off again, but
No,
so
you're
we've
good.
got Thousand Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, USA Blue, USA White, Utica Yeti, all right there within 4 spots. I mean,
Exactly. That's what we're excited about, man. Is like we're not gonna obviously have as strong of a team as we have normally, because some of our guys play on other teams already. Lax Knight's been going around, for a few years. Some guys just like want the break. Some guys can't get the time off because they took so much time off in the summer, right? So we're piecing together. I haven't released my roster yet, and I'll give it to the tournament when I have it. I
Uh,
don't. I don't.
I was gonna
Maybe
say I
I
think
don't need
most
to do the
people,
roster drops everyone else does.
yeah, but I mean the biggest
You'll
problem
see
with
what I got.
yeah, the biggest problem with Laxney though is you've got some of these guys, especially like you've got a brand new team. None of these guys just started playing lacrosse for you this year. So anybody who had experience before has already got their teams like they're set on, they show up with this group of guys like the Woodsmen, they show up together, more dudes. There is a
Yeah, more or less. I mean, there's usually a core, and then they all interchange. Like I've talked to a lot of guys that played on one team this year, or last year, or the year before, and they're on a completely different team. Like I've played for three different teams for Lax Nile already myself. Like guys just bounce around to have fun and play with different guys. Unless you're like the Gold Star Tel Aviv. Um,
yeah.
CTC is a pretty solid group of dudes that play together. Frog Pond depends on who they bring. Um, Brooklyn Dodgers is a pretty solid group of guys usually.
Seneca
Um,
Marksman's always a good team.
yeah, and that'll be a mix though. So like some of those guys might play for them, they might play for someone else.
Well, that was
They'll all end up with different people.
did you know that the Woodsman team is mainly like a John family team?
Oh yeah,
I did not. I was talking to Herbie John, who, by the way, did you see he just made it up to the
yeah. He's
NLL?
NLL ref now. Yeah, I saw he's
That
in
is,
for 23, 24. It's very cool. I think he's the third official from the FNLA to make it. So it's pretty neat.
yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, so excited for Lax Night. That'll probably be, well, I know it'll be the next time I actually see you, unless you're gonna be in Utica. What am I going? I'm going out next week to film some stuff on the weekend. But actually, I don't know if you'd be invited for there because it's a practice.
That's Saturday, the 23rd, against Team USA.
No, not that one.
Uh,
No. It's something different. But we will be out there for that one. So you could come for either of those, though. And I know you're definitely
yeah, I
welcome
can't.
for the one versus Team USA because I believe they'll be selling tickets. So
I can't go to that. We have so this weekend actually is pretty busy weekend for the Spirits, if you will. Saturday night, Coach Benedict is getting inducted into the Aquasasne Hall of Fame as a player. Um, yep, so that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Sunday we're actually doing a kind of a celebration of the season because we did finish number 2 in the country and won our division. So we're doing a party Sunday and fundraiser and a PLL watch party. So we're going to watch the PLL championship game at Skiffs Sunday and try to do some raffles and try to raise some money because well, this is expensive. And
yes, it is a very
yeah,
expensive, time-consuming
yeah.
hobby. It's
And
oh
Lax and I were pretty pumped about because I like the draw we got. We play Portugal Thursday. If we win that, then we'd play the winner of Moon Bears and Bang City. And if we win that, then we would play the third place team in the Gold B bracket. So that could be, I think, Seneca, USA Blue, Iroquois Thunder, and there's one other team. So we'd play whoever's in third in that if we could win our first 2 games.
I just
February.
realized I got to build all these streams. I hadn't even thought about that part of it yet. As I'm staring at the schedule on Lax Night now, I was like,
Yeah, I
wait,
was just thinking, buddy. Streaming starts Thursday, my friend.
yeah, we are starting streaming Thursday. Rink 1 will be streaming the whole time. Rinks 2 and 3 are going to be recorded and uploaded later.
Nice. I'm
This
on Rink
year,
2, first
suppo-
game.
what's that?
My first game's on Rink 2, I think, 8-10 Thursday night, which is my birthday, by the way. I'm turning the big. We won't talk about it.
You got to be the big 4-0 because you're right around my age, and I know I'm getting awful close to it. So
It may or may not be 40, but yeah, Thursday night. Next
let's
Thursday,
just.
last night.
I did not realize. So all the best people are born in September. Now I officially know it's true. Well,
Oh, that's very
in
sweet of you to
December.
say.
Yeah, that's I'm the beginning of September myself. I'm the
Oh, look at
third.
you.
Me and my little sister were both Labor Day babies, but we got OJ the dude in the chat. He's going to wishes he could be there for Lax 9 I'm super excited to see out at Lax 9. And I know we could talk forever about all of this stuff, but I guess essentially what I think helps the most as far as like the NABLL, what would you say is your experience with the NABLL versus some of these other organizations that like you've seen the IBLA and like the organization structure. I mean, how do you feel as far as like there is a lot of resources the NABLL had that I didn't even realize. You're the one who kind of pointed most of it out to me. You're like, these people don't use these resources, and I was like, what are you talking about? And you just went through like all the stuff. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, they do a lot. So like, what's nice about the NABLL and the board um, and the organization is that they really want to help not only build the game and draw, like, make the game easier to get out there, but they want you to build your brand. Like the IBLA, I guess they didn't even allow you, like, if I wanted to have the Thousand Island Spirits in a tournament, I wouldn't be allowed to because they'd owed my name or something, which is how Bang City was created in Utica, because they weren't allowed to use the Utica Yeti the first year in any other tournaments. And the NABLL wants you to use your name, and why wouldn't they? If you can build a strong brand and you're going to these tournaments, they're going to associate your brand with the league as well. So it's a win-win for both. So like that's one really cool, small but big thing that they do. But yeah, when it comes to resources, they have anything you need. A lot of connections, the online store, discounted PLL tickets was cool. Um, I went to one event, but they're just they have a lot of resources that they use. There's like the sports therapy thing that they're using. That thing's pretty. That seems like a cool program. Just everything they do is helping you as a GM try to just build the game and make it as easy as possible.
yeah,
They're,
very
they're, they're there
GM
for
friendly.
Yeah, and they're player friendly. Like they want to build the game and get it out there. And I don't think there isn't a better league in America to do that. I mean, there's just not. Like
Yeah, I agree
there
100%
just
with you.
isn't. There isn't any. There might be like Baltimore has their own little league, and there might be pockets of leagues that exist like regionally, but there's not a national league that's like this.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely, and
like, where else would you play?
it's amazing. And now the best place for anybody who wants to find information on the Thousand Island Spirits would be on the Facebook page.
Facebook's probably the best way. Yeah, I would say that. My website, I need to update. I haven't touched it since the Upstate Championship game because I just was so focused on nationals and all that. Um, but yeah, Facebook is definitely the best way to find us. Instagram, we're on. That's pretty good. I've had a lot of people reach out on there. Um, we're on TikTok. We're everywhere. My website's cool. I mean, you can submit inquiries on my website too. I mean, anything you want. We're
That's
very accessible.
that's awesome. Now on
Yeah.
this trophy, did you get it burned yet? Does it have the Spirits 22 on the back of it or
I did.
23?
I did not get it burned yet. I have someone locally that is willing to do it for me. I just haven't been around to get it done. I've been very busy, so now I'm kind of in a lull till we get done with nationals, or not nationals, with the lax nine
Lax
this week.
Eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome. But yeah, definitely check out their Facebook page, anything you want with the Spirits. If you have any questions about starting a team, I would say I'm not going to volunteer, Nate, but if you really are wondering if it's worth
yeah,
it, I don't
absolutely.
think there's a better person to ask than you really because I mean, you've got to experience it as a player, you got to be a brand new GM. You've never been a team is this the first team you started like from scratch for a
I used to run like tournament teams for field. Like I would run and organize like teams just for weekend tournaments, and we'd do 3 or 4 tournaments in a summer. But this is the first, team that I've started and owned, and I'm more than happy to help anyone that wants to start a team, or that's thinking about it, or that's halfway through it, because there's some things you should do and some things you don't need to do, and I'd gladly help anybody because that's how we build the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I love right here too, shouting out, you guys had some battles, and to sit there and shout each other out because that is just awesome. It's what this is about. I love it. Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody. I was got to click on this picture real quick before we leave because I think honestly, this picture is just,
It's the coolest picture I've ever seen.
I love it. I love just having
It's
the,
like that walk away from the explosion in the back we're on. Like and you got two legends just going to the bench and the squad in the back. Like that's that pit. When I saw that picture, I got chills, man.
Yeah. No, I did after getting to
Very
talk
cool.
to your coaches and just the amount of lacrosse experience and knowledge, and then to get to be like one of those young men. You take one of those young college age guys from, yeah, that's how it works. Paul knows exactly. But yeah, the you take one of those young college age young men who's never had a chance to play box lacrosse, and then to put him on a team with the Crooked Arrows All Stars, and then the legendary coaching staff that you have. I mean, you're setting guys up for amazing things. We wish nothing but the best for you. Now I've got to wrap it up. We're 10 minutes past our hour limit that I try to set for ourselves. Thanks so much, Nate. Anything you want to say before we jump off?
Um, I'm too long winded to say more stuff, but I can say like, well, as far as my coaches go, they're very different. Mike is very intense and knows the game very well. He's a great person to learn from, and Travis is very soft spoken, but man, that guy's forgotten more about lacrosse than I'll ever know. So like, if you can find some coaches, please do. Right. But thank you, Greg, for everything you do, man. Just for everything you do, man. Like the for the games and the streaming, and look what you've done too. Like pat yourself on the back, buddy. You guys have done a good job over there.
Thank you very much. It's all I think what this league is geared for. If you want to chase your dreams and you want to be a GM of a lacrosse team to help some people out and get some more medicine in there, we want to learn how to stream stuff more. We're doing it. Yeah, that's what this league is built on. Thanks so much. I
Yeah,
mean, my favorite part is we've gotten to meet you. We've gotten to meet so many great people. We've made more friends in this year, like lifelong friends, people that you meet that you care about, and like
yeah,
yeah, it's been an unbelievable experience. The opportunity has been provided to us by the creator and the NABLL putting this together for us. So I'm gonna actually click the end of the stream here before we start talking again. But thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you.